fourth time I made this video, so it better be good. This is the Dark Places folder. Here's the Dark Places executable. Oh, and this is Intercraft4 making this video. Now, this tutorial will work on almost any engine based on Quake, like Kurok or Fizzquake, but I'm going to show in Dark Places, because I like Dark Places. Now, when you install Dark Places, it will not run Quake without the ID1 folder, which you need for any mod you're going to have. Now, it will contain pack0.pack, which you can get from the shareware version of Quake, which I'll put that file on my a link to that file, or MediaFire, on in the link to in my description. And when you run Dark Places for the first time, once it actually has the pack file, the pack file, it will contain config.cfg. Open that in Notepad++. If you are using gedit, switch to Notepad++, because even though I like gedit better, it does not work once you compile the code with FTE or something like that, because once you've compiled it and you try to use gedit to open up a file, it will give you an error, so start using Notepad++. Now this contains all the bound keys, which if you're adding a mod that is totally written QC code, it'll probably be in impulses. But if you're adding a mod to the engine with the source code, then you should probably write it something easy to understand, like screenshot, +klook, which that stuff like that only works on the engine, I'm sure. But you cannot use impulses in the engine's source code. I'll make a video on that later, how to add your own little things like that, and how to edit the engine. Now, this folder and this folder, this is the one I followed a tutorial on. This is my BioQuake folder. I'll use that as an example. It will have, which your mod should too, have progs folder, which will have any models that you make, any weapons, character models, anything. There's the sound folder, which will have sounds for like anything that's supposed to play a sound in the game. Make sure they're .wav files, because the only engine, to my knowledge, that can run MP3s is Kurok. So if you're not using Kurok, use WAV. And if you want to make it multi-engine compatible, use WAV. It's gonna work. Here's the progs.dat and progs.ino, which you'll get from from compiling the code, which you should probably have in another folder on your desktop or somewhere else. And in that folder, you should have QC, which have all your code. This is just something I was making, so that won't be there later in your code. But FTE, QCC, GUI, and these files will not exist yet, so don't try to figure out how to put those there. Here's all your QC code, and those folders should not be there. You can get all these files from inside3d.com. It's a really good Quake tutorial website, and even has forums, so you can ask a question if you don't understand, and a lot of people will help you. Here's your progs.src. If you don't have this, then you need to re-download the code, because there must be something wrong. In this, it contains /progs.dat. If it doesn't, add that. And what that does... Oh, there's a problem here. Okay. What that does is it tells it ... which means one folder above where this file is. Create the file progs.dat, which will contain all these, all the code from these files as one big file called progs.dat. And any file that you create that has code in the game, like QC code, that is triggered by impulse, like pressing a key, should be listed before weapons.qc, or when you run the game, it will not understand. It will you'll press a button and it will either crash or not do anything, or tell you an error, because to it that code doesn't exist yet because it hasn't gotten down there yet, because it hasn't needed to. So, almost done with this thing, this tutorial. Now open this. This is FTEQCC GUI, which to my knowledge only runs on Windows. So if you try to get any FTE QCC thing running, whether it's GUI or not, on anything but Windows, good luck, because I've had a horrible time trying to get that to work. Now it should go to the QCC folder, which, this has to be in that folder, in your mod folder, or it will not want to work most of the time. Now if it doesn't automatically go to the QC folder, tell it the location. And make sure that this says quake C source, or it'll show you tons of QC files. Now double click on procs.src. I'll enlarge this. Now it should have, all that stuff. If you need to edit something, here it is. But like I said earlier, if you try to edit in FTQCC, at least the GUI version, it does this. Then when you try to open again later in gedit, it will not open. It will give you an error. So use Notepad++ or something else if you know of anything better. Make sure the options say check marked like this. These two, this, just in case the resolution is too low that you couldn't see the check marks. If you're trying to mess anything up, then sure. Check mark whatever you want, but best to keep that stuff the way it is. Compile. It's okay if it gives you errors, which will be in gold. If it gives you any red lines, which are the errors and not warnings, I think I said errors a minute ago, but I meant warnings. If it gives you any red lines which are errors, then it did not compile the code, or if it did not compile correctly, so do not use that or you might mess something up. But it should compile it in the folder above QC, which will be where this is, in your mods main folder. Copy these, go to your mods folder, and click paste. I don't want to do that though, but then when you open up Dark Places, just go to the Start menu, go to Options, Browse Mods, if this is Dark Places. If not, I'm not sure exactly how to start the thing. You may have to edit something in the config. I'll figure that out and make a new video later on that, or edit this one. And click Browse Mods if you're running Dark Places. Highlight the mod, which will be the name of the folder, so make sure it's easy to understand. And it's obvious it's your mod. And right click or left click to highlight, to turn it on, and then press enter, which will activate it. Wait no longer than a minute. If it's still black screen or does not show the start menu for longer than a minute, something's gone wrong. So try to press the escape. If it doesn't bring up the menu, or at least something, then it's crashed, and just Control Delete, get out of there, and try it again. Once it's gotten to the start menu again, press start game, new game, whatever, and it should be running your mod. Okay, I hope this video turned out good. Guess we'll know if you're watching this.